The following is a meditation designed to notice and unravel and relate to our fear. And then following that is a few steps we can take to meet our fear. And I say meet our fear because really meeting fear is all that is necessary. Getting rid of fear, overcoming fear, transcending fear, all these things are often attempts by fear itself, rather than our true fearlessness, which is the love of our being, which doesn't need to get rid of fear in order to relate to life with love and fearlessness, even in the presence of fear. So these are just ways of exploring our own experience, and these are ways that I have learned and intuited and explored in my own experience that I'm sharing here. So if you're in a safe environment, try to just rest and close your eyes and settle and let things be as they are. What if we didn't need to choose love over fear, but simply love in the presence of fear? We may often hear that we can choose either love or fear, but love is all inclusive. As such, fear is also included. All too often, if we try to choose love over fear, we move away from fear in some way. But this moving away is fear in a new disguise. Love does not deny any aspect of our experience. It is fear which does that. Love has the power to notice, to include, to listen. We have that power too. So let's explore this power in our current experience, free from any notion of being powerful or living up to any ideal, simply out of curiosity, joy, and love. Inclusivity is not something we can do. It is what awareness or being already is. As such, love is not something we can do either. It is the quality or nature of being. Fear never truly obscures this, but it seems to, through thoughts and feelings which are attempts to deny, avoid, or move away from any aspect of experience, whether that is something in our mind, body, or world. Yet, even the thoughts and feelings of resistance or avoidance are included. If we take our current experience right now, it may not be long before something arises, be it a thought, feeling, sound, person, object, which seems undesirable to us. Here, I am not talking about discernment and the right action which arises from it. For example, having a boundary with someone who is not aligned or even harmful, or noticing when we wish to leave a place. These can be intuitions born from wisdom. They arise as responses in the body, and they can sometimes be difficult to distinguish from the kind of fear which arises without a wise response. One distinction is that wise intuitive response is felt in the body. It does not correlate with the sense of being a separate, solid, limited entity. So just take a moment to let attention rest on your experience. Notice anything which comes up that creates some resistance, be it in the mind, body, or world. Unless that thing is an immediate threat, whatever arises which creates resistance of some sort, first notice it and notice the resistance to it. The resistance is made of a thought and or a sensation in the body. Allow this resistance to be. Notice it. Let it soak in the very presence with which you notice it. Smile at it even. Similarly, whatever it refers to, allow it to be. Notice it. Let it soak in the presence with which it is noticed. Both the aspect of experience and the resistance to it arise within this same presence. Let the presence be the quality of the experience. So even though the resistance is there, even though the object of resistance is there, they don't have to be predominant. The presence which is noticing them now is allowing them both to rest a little bit. So let the presence soak the resistance. This may happen viscerally. It may be that almost like liquid is running through tensions in the body. It may happen mentally. It may be that thoughts begin to seem like they are noticed within a space rather than being all-encompassing. And the resistance may even become exaggerated because it's now being revealed more. And it's also sensing that it's being revealed. And so it's becoming more and more intense. This is also possible. But whatever is arising and whatever sensation is arising, whether it's pleasurable or painful, let the presence be the key basis of the experience. Let the presence soak the experience in itself. Often, our resistance arises out of a preconceived belief or fear. When we notice, face, allow that which is being resisted, we uncover those layers of conditioning. This is not about being stoic or unmoved by experience. Sometimes, intense responses may arise in the body or mind. As we notice, allow, and soak these in presence, we may also feel the urge to move, recline, or go to a different environment. These urges may allow us more opportunity to continue this process. They may provide time and space. Or they may be a way to avoid and turn away from. If they are grounded and correlate with a sense of self-care, they are probably the former. If they are kind of wild or frenzied, they are probably the latter. In other words, if they are grounded and correlate with a sense of self-care, we can trust that we can follow those urges. Whereas if they are a bit wild or frenzied, then perhaps we are better to stay where we are and not follow those urges to move away. We know simply by listening and experimenting which is which. This is not something we do once or twice or simply when we are sitting in meditation. Our meditations give us clear opportunity to attune to this process of soaking our resistance and what is resisted in our presence. It is in our day-to-day lives, however, that most of our fears, beliefs and resistances show up. Therefore, we get the greatest benefit by noticing, facing, allowing, giving space for, throughout the course of day-to-day life. We do not need to sit in solitude for years before all our fears or limiting beliefs have been diffused. Love does not need to get rid of anything before it recognizes happiness. We do not need to either. Throughout your day, begin to notice, whenever possible, the resistances which arise in relation to mind, body, or world. Notice the resistance, its object, and allow them both to have equal value and space in experience. Let them soak in your presence. You will be amazed at the transformational effect of this simple witnessing. Okay, so here are a few ways, along with this meditation of noticing our resistance and the object of our resistance and letting them be held or soaked or noticed simply by our presence, by our awareness, by our being. We can also take more proactive steps or meet fear in more proactive ways. One of those ways, of course, is movement. Movement allows the channels of the body to begin to move fear around. Often, particularly in people who are, for lack of a better way of saying it, highly sensitive and aware, fear manifests as a kind of freeze response or a holding in rather than a fight or flight. But even if it does arise as a fight or flight, conscious movement allows either the freeze mode to thaw out, or for the heightened nervous system responses to rest, because often simply being still doesn't fully allow the body to process the often, if it's intense, feelings which are coming up. They sometimes need a bit more dynamism. So movement can be something you enjoy, whether it's a sport, either on your own, or with others. It can just be very gentle, slow, easy moving, stretching, yoga. Sometimes working the body slightly beyond what we think is, what we imagine or believe it to be capable of, is extremely powerful. I don't mean pushing it to the point where we feel frazzled, but pushing it to the point where we feel worked. Because often when there's fear, it's very tied in with many limiting beliefs, and common limiting beliefs often relate to our potential. So movement of the body can be a way that we can remind ourselves that our potential, and I don't mean our potential for amazing things necessarily, I just mean the potential of what is possible for our own enjoyment and our own growth and our own life. Movement can help us to step beyond any limiting beliefs that we have taken on in relation to potential. Gradually, gently, step by step. And when we do things step by step, that's when the most amazing things happen, because each step is like stepping into a new space which opens up. If we were to move through that space too quickly without taking those steps, we don't integrate the things that live there, and at some point we may feel like we're being held back in the future because we've kind of gone too far, in a sense. So gentle steps is all we need. Whether it's weightlifting, doing a sport, a martial art, somatic practices, yoga, or something we enjoy or did enjoy when we were younger. We may feel even that we're not capable of doing that thing anymore, but the fact of the matter is that all we need to do is get to a point where we can enjoy it. And when we do that, and we do it with joy, amazing things happen. So movement is just a way of consciously being with fear, because we often hear about sitting with things. People will say, sit with this fear. Really, sitting with something is only a metaphor for noticing it and bringing awareness to it. Sometimes we need those times of sitting so that all stimuli is reduced and we can begin to sort of attune to deeper aspects within us that maybe are not getting attention. However, sitting meditation is something we can do here and there throughout our day or throughout our week. But it's in the movement and it's in the flow of life that we can begin to then bring the consciousness, the awareness that we attune to in our sitting meditations into the body and the mind and the world and the things that come up in relation to them within us. When I say within us, I mean within the body or the mind. The world also gives us clues. The world will also respond to us as we do this. It may even begin to give us challenges or give us clues or give us synchronicities or people which either give us an opportunity to notice what comes up in relation to that, and it will always be the thing that we needed to for the thing to come up which maybe we're ready to notice and unravel. So this process begins to be a sort of holistic process, which includes not only the awareness which we attune to in meditation, but the mind and the body and the world all they always were, but we just begin to notice, and it begins to be much more clear that they are all acting in a way which is in aid of this process. And often those things will be really simple things, small steps that we can take. It won't be a huge challenge. Sometimes we get huge challenges. But often life will give us enough to notice, and as we are noticing, that's all that life needs to give us. And so in a way, by attuning to this process, we are actually giving life less reason to create extreme situations. If we are asking for extreme situations before we are ready to bring awareness to ourselves, to bring awareness to our fears and limiting beliefs, then we'll often manifest those situations. The life we are in now is enough, and it is the highest path. And as we take these steps, we may find that, okay, I'm ready to move beyond that particular phase. But we don't move beyond it because we're trying to sort of get somewhere. We move beyond it because we're now becoming more and more attuned to our joy and our natural flow with things. So the next step is speaking and listening to fear. This is immensely simple. All we need to do is say, "Hello, fear." Or, "What is it you're trying to say, fear?" And then just listen. And we'll be surprised that as we do this process, it works. Fear actually does begin to speak to us. We do begin to have a conversation with fear because we're giving it the opportunity. We're opening that space up. And also, as we do that, it may come up in the body. Okay, we might be in the kitchen, we might be doing simple things And we can take the opportunity to just say, to notice there's fear, or there's something. It may not manifest directly as fear, but there'll just be this sense of, what is it? What do I feel that's making me feel like this, you know? It may even come out as anger. But within anger there's often fear and pain. So these things, they all overlap. They're not kind of compartmentalized into individual entities, but it is a useful approach is to give it a name and to relate to it and allow it to be almost like a person inside you that is speaking. Of course it's you, it's all you. But all we're doing is we're noticing that you is made up of different aspects, and all those aspects are included. And so we can say to fear, because we're taking the stance as the you, or as the I, which isn't one particular aspect of our I. There is a sense of I which is the kind of global I, which is our being. And we can take that stance simply by saying, hello fear, what would you like to say? What is it you want? Or we don't have to do the thing it wants or follow exactly what it says, but we're giving it the opportunity, almost like a child. When a parent asks it, what do you want? What is it you're afraid of? What are you feeling? And these are just ways to give that child the opportunity to express. And the parent knows that it's not going to suddenly be taken away by what the child says. The child might say, I want this. It's the parent's choice whether they decide to follow that. But often simply by expressing, simply by having the opportunity to express that, the child is liberated from its confinement, and those energies move and are expressed and rest. And the parent also gets an insight into what is laying beneath those emotions and whatever the child says in relation to them. And they can both then navigate those feelings. So it's the same with ourselves. We're being the parent to ourselves by simply noticing that aspect of ourselves, giving it a name and allowing it to express without judgment, and also without subordination. We're not making ourselves subordinate to it and saying, I'll do whatever you want. We're saying, I'm giving you the opportunity to express freely. And in doing so, we're almost holding a council and saying, okay, I'm going to listen absolutely because I respect you. And we'll take from what you say everything that is relevant. And after you've said it, you may even feel different and then get more clarity into your own perspective. So this is like a holistic, allowing, respectful way to approach our fear. And it's incredible, the transformational effect of this approach. So I could talk about these things, each step, for hours. I'm going to move on to the next one, which is discerning between fears. And this relates to the previous one, because it is a way to relate to fear, again, in a respectful way, because fear sometimes is telling us something very wise. And in my experience, there isn't one kind of fear. There's two kinds of fear, and they manifest in different ways. One fear is the fear that many people will talk about, which is the kind of fear that is trying to hold us back from doing things which are aligned with us, which we're excited about, which life throws our way, opportunities, excitements, creative projects, stepping out of our comfort zone, etc. Or relating to people, intimacy, and so on. This kind of fear is one kind of fear which, of course, we don't want to be influenced by, because it does hold us back. However, there is another kind of fear which is not holding us back from doing the things that we're excited about, but is coming up as an intuitive response to things which are not aligned with us. And sometimes the response will be a sense of fear. So whether that's in relation to a person that we meet, maybe, and we just get that intuitive sense. And it's not necessarily that that person is a danger. It might be the way that we're choosing to relate to that person isn't aligned with us, and that's bringing up this sense of fear in us. Maybe we're opening up too much to someone who doesn't actually deserve for us to open up so much to them. Or perhaps we don't know it and trust yet. Or maybe we're choosing a path in our life which isn't really aligned with our joy. It's more of a choice based on duty or identity, or a limiting belief that we have that we need to live up to, or an ideal that we've taken on, or an expectation thrown at us by somebody else that we are trying to live up to. And the more we do this, at first it will be subtle perhaps, but the more we do this, the more that fear will be extreme. And I'm speaking, this is my personal experience of exploring these aspects of fear. It will manifest differently in each individual, but the essential message is not all fear is something that is holding us back. Sometimes it's a very wise thing that we would benefit from listening to. And even the kind of ideal that we may take on of breaking through fear or doing the things we're afraid of, or not living in fear-based narratives, and so on and so on. These things can create this sense of like all fear is bad. And then when fear does come up, because of a wise response in us, we may not listen to it, we may try to push through it, or may even think that we have to do the thing that we're afraid of, simply because if we don't, that means we're being influenced by fear. So the way we can discern between the two is by noticing in our day-to-day life what fear feels like in relation to each experience or activity or expression. And as we do this, we begin to become attuned and sensitive to how fear manifests in us, in our body, in our mind, and we can begin discerning what fear is telling us at any given moment, what fear actually is, because often fear can be there without us knowing it. It might just be like there's a constant sense of anxiety or agitation. It may even be that there isn't any seeming manifestation of any feeling or thought which we notice. But there may be just a dullness or a sense that maybe we're not acting on our joy, for example. Why am I not? Why am I not doing that thing that I just really want to do? That simple thing. I can't be afraid of it. Surely not, because maybe it's not something that would be obviously scary to us. It might be a simple thing that we feel a sense of joy about doing, or did at one point. Or intuit that maybe we do. Because these sorts of things become kind of misty. Sometimes, if we're not used to moving in that way. And so, if there's that sense, we can say, well, is there fear around it? And then if we're not sure, we can say, fear, are you there? Is there something about this which you are feeling a bit unsure of? What is it? And as we see it, this is the thing, seeing it is all that's necessary. We don't need to do anything with it, because once we've seen through a limiting belief, once we've seen through a fear, once we've seen through a trauma response, it's not that they instantly disappear, necessarily, but they become clear. And once they're clear, they're no longer what they seem to be. They're no longer fear. It's no longer fear anymore. It's no longer a limiting belief. It's simply an aspect of ourself that we need not get rid of or do anything with necessarily, because we've seen why it's arising, how it's arising, and then we can act accordingly. Which leads on to the next step, which is simply stepping forward in life, gently. Because, we can do all this so-called work, as people may call it, with, inner work, with our fear or beliefs or whatever. But we're never going to get to a place where we feel, right, I'm absolutely perfect now. I can now go forward and do the things I want to do. Often, it's the fact that we're not doing it which is causing the issue, which is causing the deep sense or the seemingly intense sensations within us. We find that when we do take that simple step towards the thing that we enjoy, all the seemingly intense fears around it are kind of not there anymore, or they're just very, very subtle and almost tender. They've come with us in a sense. Sometimes they may come with us. But if we allow them to, they're like children by our side. And it's in the stepping forward, it's in the gentle steps towards those things that fear is reminded within us of its tenderness. Because essentially fear is a tender response to life. It's a sense of self-love, like beneath fear, beneath our tentativeness, beneath anxiety, beneath trauma. There's a sense of self-worth and self-love which is inherent in every child. And those things came up because there was that self-love there already. If there wasn't, we wouldn't need, those responses wouldn't happen, because there wouldn't be any reason for us to fear anything. There wouldn't be any reason for us to have trauma around something. It's the very fact that we recognise that situation or that behaviour or that belief or that thought or feeling or expression that we've encountered is misaligned with our deepest sense of love. It's the very fact that we recognise that which allows that fear or whatever arises in response to it to come up. It's just that at the time, either now or in childhood, or at any point across our seeming timeline, which is really just different perspectives of ourself, we weren't necessarily able to fully be aware of and to notice and to process the responses, and so they took on different faces. And so what we're doing in this process is becoming clear with ourselves, gaining clarity by respecting every aspect of us as we would respect a child in our home. And so the last step is a more visceral, meditative step, which is simply noticing how fear arises in the body. Because fear might come through thoughts, it might come in dreams, it might come in imagination, but this has a correlate in the body. And as we notice how fear is manifesting in the body, whether it's in the belly, whether it's tension in the throat, whether it's freezing, seeming the whole body holding, or the back of the neck, the spine, because the spine is very involved in our nervous system responses. and the neck. There's so much going on there. So as we notice how things arise in the body, and this can be done with any feeling, any body-mind experience, taking that time, taking that either that moment in the course of the day, or if we don't have that, just as we're doing it, or in specific times that we designate to our sitting meditations, or when we're just at home in our own space, just noticing how each thing manifests, meaning literally noticing what the body is doing, what shape is it taking, is it tingles, is it shivers, is it tension, is it pain, is there excitement along with it, like what else is there? And this, it's not like a focusing on what we're doing, but it's drawing attention, it's letting attention kind of settle down into the body and rest, as well as including the totality of our experience, of course, because we don't want to be focusing on the body, because this creates more of a vigilance, and then that just perpetuates, in a way, that can just perpetuate the vigilance that comes along with fear. So it's noticing from a place of aware being, essentially. And we don't have to be completely clear on that aware being. We don't have to be totally immersed in it before we can then notice the responses in the body-mind from that place. Because often simply noticing what's arising is already taking our stance as aware being. Because aware being is that which notices, is that which is the simple witnessing of experience. It is also the substance of experience. So it's the source and substance. But it's useful to differentiate sometimes between that which is an aspect of our experience in the body and the mind or the world, even though we may know intellectually or experientially that everything arises is made of the same stuff, is made of knowing or being or consciousness. At the same time, sometimes some attention is vital to allowing that understanding to seep into our experience, to seep into our body, into our mind, into our world, and to infuse it with its own qualities, which are peace, allowing, awareness, being, love. And this love is not opposed to fear. This love holds fear, touches fear. This love is fear. Or rather, fear is this love. It's like a shimmer in its fractals of light. So this kind of underlies all of these steps, or any step we may take in our life, which is that inclusivity is the nature of our being, And when we honour this inclusivity, not by getting lost in experience, not by becoming experience, but letting experience be included within us, then we allow experience the greatest respect and freedom and love and safety to be noticed as it truly is, to express itself as it wants to express, and to rest. So I'm sending you all my love, and I'm just sharing my own journey and the insights that come from that. And I hope that we can all recognise that we are our own teacher in this, and all anyone else can do is offer insights which are gleaned from their experience, which can then help to invite others to notice their own experience and the nature of their experience. And this journey together, journeyless journey, allows for the deepest sense of inclusiveness, respect and love. So, all my love.